Barry for doing that. My name is Robert Lippman. I work at the Providence House of Charity Clinic, and I am also serve as part of the leadership team here for the coalition, and have been presenting these kinds of virtual virtual just meetings and so again, thank you. I want to go over real quick our coalition, our purpose, our mission and planning, providing education to the community, and looking for opportunities for advocacy. That's why the beginning and the end of this meeting are great as far as being able to network and understand how we can better advocate for those who are in a vulnerable situation. I do want to go over the virtual etiquette. So if your microphones are not on mute, can you put them on mute? That will help us kind of reduce any background interference or anything such as working in the back. So maybe Barry, are you able to everyone? Perfect. Thank you again. So also during this time when we have our presenters, please put your questions, any questions that you have in the chat box. And then I will be referencing to that chat box during the presentations to help better answer your questions that you have. So it'll be and we'll just continue on our way. So also I want to mention about the Google Groups. Want to encourage everyone that this is kind of a platform for case consultation, not disclosing any personal health information, and of course adhering to HIPAA guidelines, but looking for support, please send those out. We do like to see the responses too, to see how they were handled. But use that platform basically to encourage one another and just looking for that collaborative effort with one another. The Spokane Homeless Coalition leadership election. So we have the administrative and the media position that are going to be coming up in December. So if there's any interest in serving in the coalition on the leadership team, please email myself or Barry or jump onto our website, and there's some other emails on there if you want to reach out if you're interested in that. Otherwise, we'll just continue on with the same crew, but again, that's coming up in December. So we'll keep an eye out for an email going out, and you can respond to that email if you feel interested or nudged to serve in that capacity. As far as the PIT count, the point in time count, we are still hoping that the city can help us with a recording of a presentation of those numbers. I know the numbers have kind of been out already for a while, but we want to make sure that those are presented and available to you guys on our website when they do become available. So I'm not sure if we're going to have a presentation from the city directly at one of our coalition meetings, or if it will be a separate presentation that we'll just post on our webpage. But if it is, we'll keep you updated when that comes out. Just some quick updates. Let's see, the regional governance group is reviewing applications from the COC for mid-November and selecting the Canon organization that will be running that. I've not heard anything, maybe someone else has in the community on who will be operationalizing that, but the goal is still to open up mid-November of this month. That was indicated by the city, so we look forward to that, and who will end up being operationalizing that shelter. Want to also welcome the city homeless programs manager, Brenda. She was, I'm not sure if she's in the audience.
She is in the audience.
In the audience. Well, welcome, Brenda. Glad you can be part of the coalition and understanding kind of better what we do here. So thank you again for being here. And as far as reflections go, I want to just play a quick clip that our documentary Maurice Smith with Rising River Media has put together and is in the process of putting together. And I'll let him kind of talk about it before jumping into that clip. Maurice, are you available to share a quick word about this reflection?
On this, we're going to show the Gabriel Pizarro clip, I believe, and that clip came about spontaneously while I was filming something else down at City Gate, and I sat down with Gabby and said, "Just give me 2 minutes of your story," and she did. There's more that I could have included, but I limited it right at 2 minutes. My role as a documentarian for the homeless is to give them a platform to tell their stories without me telling them what their story ought to be. This is their reality. It's what they deal with on a daily basis. It's how they understand the world that they live in. And so I try to allow them to speak and simply record their story so that we can see the faces and hear the voices of real people who are on this journey so that we can better understand them and walk alongside them. And hopefully I look forward to the day that Gabby gets off the street and has her own place. Right now, as far as I know, she is still homeless. And I have other stories that we recorded at Westminster last week that are absolutely heartbreaking. So, but my role in this 2-minute clip is simply to allow someone to tell their side of the story, because I've spoken with so many homeless people who say, we're told when to get up, when to go to bed, when to go to the bathroom, when to eat, when to leave, when to come. Their life is outside of their control in so many ways. Nobody ever simply sits down and says, "Tell me your story." And that's what I do. And so that's what we're going to hear from Gabriel Pizarro in this clip.
Thank you, Maurice. Barry, are you able to play that for us?
I would be, except I thought Maurice was going to play it. So Maurice, what's the website I need to go find it so I can put it up?
Okay, give me just a second and I will, I've got to see where I've got it posted on YouTube. Go ahead and yak in just a couple of minutes. I'll have the link to you.
Okay.
I will yak along. I do have a quick reflection of my own, and it's in regards to patterns. If you know me, I like to talk a lot about thinking patterns and just kind of, even the roads we travel down on the streets are a result of a pattern. We go from home to work, or we go to point A to point B to point C, and typically as a result of a pattern. That's ultimately why we have roads and streets, because we are creatures of patterns. And in this time frame, there's so much change going on that it seems like patterns are getting disrupted a little bit. And I want to provide this just reflection and read this to you. The title of it is "The Mind is More Powerful Than the Brain." Change in life-damaging patterns of behavior comes with choosing to change based on an awareness of the fundamental need to change. Let me repeat that. Change in life-damaging patterns of behavior comes with choosing to change based on an awareness of the fundamental need to change. You are not a victim of what you think, say, and do, because you control what you think, say, and do. The concept of a brain disease is very limiting and almost always gives a sense of hopelessness. It is the reductionistic view, one that says you are what your brain does, and there is really nothing you alone can do about it. This is based on an old, incorrect scientific research and a materialistic philosophy that recent scientific research indicates. A thinking disorder, on the other hand, brings hope. A thinking disorder, on the other hand, brings hope in the sense that although there have been significant biological changes in the brain can change. Neuroplasticity. The mind is more powerful than the brain. That, in essence, directs change. So ultimately, in this season that we're in, the weather's changing. It changes all the time with COVID, system changes. I mean, we all experience changes in election, changes with churches, changes with the weather. Ultimately, our mind is more powerful than the brain. So if you're looking to produce some type of change in an advocacy type platform, then I encourage you to use your mind because it's more powerful than the brain. Barry, you got the video. You're up. And Barry, I think maybe because you're on mute, we can't hear anything. Still not hearing anything on our end.
I'm playing it and I can hear it, but you can't hear it. Anybody out there tell me how to fix that? I've got, yeah. I know there's some button somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
Let's see. I can hear. Okay, we got some feedback. I can hear you.
Let me try it now. I just pushed a button. Let me see if it works.
My name is Gabrielle Pizarro. I lost my son. He passed away from SIDS. I had been a hairstylist for 10 years, and I was an alcoholic as well. And kind of lost myself, lost my home, got a DUI, and my family didn't know how to cope with it. And so I didn't have any support, and I just kind of fell out here. And one winter turned into two, and I'm going on 2.5 years. It's disappointment when you get told that you're too overqualified, or that there's a list and it's months and months and months long, and there's nowhere for you to go, and you're getting kicked off of every block. You can't sit anywhere, you can't carry a backpack, you can't use the restroom. It's just really discouraging, and over time you just kind of give up. And I'm not one to give up, but I've lost hope, I guess, with not having options. There was a morning where I was sitting down in a parking lot to fix my pant leg. It was snowing. To fix my pant leg and tie my shoe. And nobody was around me, and I had been sworn by the cops to being arrested sitting in the back of the car for, I didn't know what, but they cited me for trespassing in the second degree when I was tying my shoe, and I was in handcuffs in the back of a car for about 45 minutes as they were interviewing two other people, and that had been arrested as well for other charges. I was issued community court and have 8 hours of community service to complete in order to have my ticket dropped, but I was cited and arrested for no trespassing for tying my shoe.
Thank you, Maurice, for putting that together, and thank you, Gabriella, for sharing your story and your perspective on your experience. With that, within that clip, she had mentioned getting a citation for community court, and so today as a result with from our last month's meeting, talking about the certain ordinances that are in the city of Spokane, which is a no camping and then no sit and lie, which typically there are citations given out, but now we have presenters from community court to kind of talk about what that process looks like as someone comes in experiencing or presenting with one of these tickets or citations and what they get access to by coming to community court. So if we have I don't know if Seth is going to be the point person for presenting, but Seth, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. And Barry, were you going to? Yeah, okay, there we go. Pull PowerPoint. So just give some introductions.
Seth, I'm sorry, everyone. This is Francis. Before you start your presentation, Seth, because I have to go at 10 o'clock, and I didn't know that the intro to this presentation is going to be that video, and it's really an injustice to present in this manner. I've been in the leadership of Homeless Coalition, and I know that we always give opportunities for everyone to be able to have a platform to present their program. That's what Homeless Coalition has always been about. But to introduce this presentation in form of in this way I found that very perplexing. Because of the nature of my job as a public defender, I cannot give you the facts of Janelle Gabriel Pizarro's trespass case. And I hope that no one here is expecting us to provide information about Janelle Gabriel Pizarro's case. This presentation is not a defense of the charge of the allegations made, especially with regards to I'm just tying my shoe, and then I got charged. And I'm not defending the police, I'm not defending the court, and I'm not defending the process. This is about, when we were asked to present this is just about what do you do in community court. It's not about setting this up as a way to present a defense for what happened in Gabriel Pizarro's case. So I think the leadership of Homeless Coalition need to clarify for us, are we doing this presentation to defend what happened in Gabriel Pizarro case? Because if that is the situation, I think that this presentation should not be that way. We should not have set it up this way. I'm sorry, Barry.
Thank you, Francis, for speaking on that. Yeah, that was definitely not the intention as far as setting you guys up for defending her case. Each case is, I understand, very specific, and there are different aspects that go into it. This is a presentation based on what the community court can provide for patients when clients for when they do come in. And you guys see them and help them in the legal aspect that you guys do. So yeah, this is not in regards to justifying or defending anyone's case in particular. That's not how it's sent up to, but it was a platform to introduce kind of the community court where clients and patients go to resolve that. And so that's what led me into introducing Seth, so you guys can reflect on what clients have access to when they do attend community court.
Thank you, and I wish that we had not played that video to set the stage for this presentation. If anybody have any particular questions with regards to Gabriel Pizarro case, you could do an information request, or you can apply for the police report in that case and look at the facts for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Seth, you have the mic.
Okay, thank you, Francis. I'm going to leave my video off for now. I apologize, but I'm having some bandwidth issues, and I'd rather my voice come in clear than have it come in choppy. Just to do some introductions, my name is Seth Hackenberg. I'm the coordinator for the Spokane Community Court. Several other members of the team are joining with me today. You just heard from Francis Adewale, our lead public defender. I'll pass it off to each of them for introductions. So I'll go ahead, Judge Logan, if you'd like to go ahead and just introduce yourself and then pass it off to another team member.
Sure. My name is Mary Logan, and I am the judge. I'm a judge in the municipal court, but I am the presiding judge over the community courts as well.
Thank you. And Dave, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, no problem. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Kling. I'm the lead prosecutor in community court. I've done that for coming on 2 years, and I've been a prosecutor with the city for almost 12 years.
Thank you. And Jen, I believe you were on as well.
Yes, sorry, I had to unmute. So Jennifer Pence, I'm one of the attorneys, one of the public defenders who works in community court.
Thank you. Okay. And so Barry, if you want to go ahead and jump to the next slide. All right, so this is just a quick rundown of how this presentation will go. It's not a very long presentation. It's going to be kind of brief. We just want to give kind of an overview of the community court model. The main highlight of the presentation will be number 2, where we'll kind of walk you through exactly how the process goes for a participant in community court. We have gotten a lot of questions about that, about how people come into the court, how they're directed, what exactly it looks like. So we'll go over that in detail. And then we'll just kind of highlight the benefits of community court. We'll go over some of our partners and service providers and how we kind of come together as a community as a whole. And I'll also provide a quick update on how we're handling the COVID situation and the kind of new procedures we put into place for that. Barry, we can go ahead and move on to the next slide. Thank you. And the mission of community court is to build stronger and safer communities by providing accountability by help. And what that means is we want to help individuals who are involved in the criminal justice system and to reduce and properly address the quality of life offenses by utilizing a collaborative problem-solving approach to crime. And what this means is we're not looking just to put sanctions on people or to put them in jail. We're looking to determine what caused these crimes to happen. Homelessness is obviously one of the largest issues we face, especially in the downtown core. And poverty as well as, those two things go hand in hand. So we're looking at what caused the poverty, what caused the homelessness, and how to fix these issues, because those will ultimately lead to these low-level quality of life type of offenses. And you can see we also want to find family and community-oriented solutions. Again, we want to work within the community. We also want to work with family members. Getting people reunited with their families is a big goal of community court as well. Anytime we are able to, we can. One of the biggest things we do is we will help people with getting bus tickets back to their, their home to be with their family members if they're from out of town. Now, when we say that, I want to be clear that we will never give to someone a bus ticket to go somewhere. We make contact with the individual's family or friends. We verify they have a safe place to go, that they're going to have support there, because we never want the attention to be, shipping people out of town. That's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is reunite them with their family. We also expand employment and education opportunities. We're always trying to help people with employment if they're looking for it, if they're looking for education. It's part of our assessment, and I will go into a little bit more detail of the assessment in just a few minutes here. And then the community and neighborhood improvement through sustainable environmental awareness and action. That's a big thing we do with, we try to find partners around the town that are kind of engaging in that. One of our biggest partners was River Keepers. Now, unfortunately, with the ongoing COVID situation, obviously a lot of that stuff is limited. We want to keep, the health and safety of everybody is first and foremost. But when that stuff's died down, we will be working with them again, just to kind of not only do community service, but do community service in a way that actually gives back to the community and the environment. And we can go ahead and move forward. Okay, this is kind of gives some national trends about community court. Just so everyone's aware, community court is not a unique thing to Spokane. However, our particular library model is very unique. We were housed in the Spokane Library up until they started construction efforts. We are currently housed, our downtown court is in the city council chambers. However, we will be going back to the library once they finish their construction. And like I said, our library model is it's being used as a national model. The Center for Court Innovation, which is the national organization that kind of goes and covers all the community court information. They've used our model and created a manual to help other people open up. And we've actually had courts from all over the country come and visit us and have opened up community courts using that model. One of the nicest ones, in my personal opinion, is Reno. If you've ever seen if you want to Google the Reno, Nevada Library, it's this beautiful giant indoor garden, and they have court right in there, and they're using our model as far as having service providers there housed in the area, and choosing the library for its overall kind of relevance and familiarity with the homeless community. And then also you'll see if anyone has any particular questions about statistics in any way, feel free to email me after the meeting and I will be happy to provide them. I'm not going to dig into them super deep during this meeting as I want to kind of keep the presentation brief. We can go ahead and move forward to the next slide. Okay. Now, as you see here, the community court process, the path to graduation. Now, what I'm going to do is, as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be kind of the largest section of this presentation. And what we really want to do is I want to give a walkthrough of exactly how you end up in community court, what the process is like, and all the things that come with being a participant in community court. So the first thing you'll see there, that bullet point pre-arrest. Now, the reason we have that is because before anyone is cited to community court, specifically in the downtown neighborhood, but in all neighborhoods that community court works in, the officers will make a contact with them before any citation or before any arrest to give them information about community court, let them know it's available, and to kind of get them to, if it is a sit-and-lie issue or a camping issue, to move on before a citation is given. Now, we ask that all the officers do that, try to have some kind of arrest or pre-citation meeting with the individual. Obviously, we can't guarantee that happens every single time, but that is kind of the process we like to follow. If unfortunately that process doesn't lead to the individual stopping what they're doing, then there might be a citation issue. Now, a citation to community court is going to come in two ways. One is going to be a direct citation from the police officer to community court, which means they're going to hand them a citation that tells them to go directly to community court. They might also be cited to the regular Alpha Court, and while there, it might be decided to transfer their case to community court because they're eligible. The public defender, as well as the prosecutor, will go over the case, look at it, and see if it's eligible for community court. And then if so, they'll ask for it to be transferred to community court. Before anyone does come into community court, there are some things that are looked at as far as on both the prosecution side and the public defender side. Just like any court case, they're going to look to make sure that everything as far as the disposition is correct, that there is reason to bring this charge and all that. So it's just done as just like a normal court case. At that point, the prosecutor and public defender will meet to discuss the case. They'll agree that it should be sent to community court, and it will. Now, I want to stress that community court is voluntary in all aspects. So even if someone is cited directly to community court or they're transferred from Alpha Court to community court, they do not have to participate in community court if they don't want to. It's not forced. So regardless of how they end up there, whether it's cited through the Alpha Court, whether it's cited directly from the police officer, they will eventually make their first community court appearance. So how this is going to look is on your first day, you're going to come in, you're going to meet with the security guards. Currently, because of the COVID situation, they're going to give you the standard COVID health procedure, which is going to be your temperature taken. They're going to ask you if, you've had contact with anyone that's been, sick with COVID, anything like that, just as the normal procedure is done. Then if you have any bags with you or anything like that, the security guards are going to take them. They're going to put them in a secure location behind the security desk, and they're going to give you a little chip that's going to have a number on it that you can come back to get your bag. This way we can ensure that no one has to leave their property outside. We understand that a lot of people, their entire life is in that backpack, and we don't want to have them risk that to come to court. So we offer that service to make sure their stuff is protected and safe. At that point, they'll be taken through security. The public defender will be on hand to verify that they're on the docket for that day. And if they are, the next person they will meet will be our volunteer coordinator, Cindy. Now, what she's going to do is she's going to explain community court, give them kind of a brief overview. She's going to mention to them, once again, that it is voluntary. And if they would like to continue with the community court process, that the next step will be the needs assessment. If the participant would like to continue with community court at that point, they'll go on for the needs assessment. This is done by probation officers. If a probation officer is not available at the moment or they're busy, I'll step in to do them as well. We use an assessment called the CCAT. It's a very, very brief, non-invasive assessment. Should not take longer than 30 minutes. Generally, it takes about 15. The questions do give a baseline of where an individual is. We do find the needs they're having as far as if they're homeless, if they have mental health issues, if they have substance abuse issues, if they're looking for employment, if they're looking for education, if they have children, if they're a veteran, if they need medical insurance, if they need a primary care provider, if they need eyeglasses, dental care, or even just general life supplies, food, shelter, clothing, things like that. And obviously housing is always one of the biggest needs. The probation officer is going to ask all these questions. Once they finish this assessment, they're going to once again remind the individual that if they would like to continue along with community court, they'll go meet with their public defender, who will explain what the results of the assessment are. Now, I will also mention that before the assessment's done, the participant in court will sign off that they will agree to have the assessment done. They will also agree to have that information shared with our partner service providers. This ensures the individual's privacy and ensures they know that their information is not going to be shared with anyone outside of community court partners and providers, and the community court staff as well. At that point, the public defender, after going over everything, will take them to the judge. The judge will lay out exactly what their contract is that they're going to sign to agree to be in community court, as far as if they're going to have to go to treatment, if they're going to have community service hours, the max we'll give is 8 hours of community service. And once they sign off on that, once again, the judge will remind them that this is a voluntary process. And if they agree to it and they work through everything, they will graduate, they'll have their charge dismissed. And the hope is that we're connecting them with services throughout their process in community court. And it's not so much, we're not trying to be punitive. What we're trying to do is we're trying to help people and we're trying to assist them with everything they need. And that's what our needs assessment, the CCAT reviews. And again, if you have any particular questions about the CCAT, if you would like to see what it looks like, feel free to contact me. I have no problem sharing that. You're welcome to look at it. It has been validated, so it is a legitimate tool that has some prior data and stuff that supports how useful it is. So again, if you have any concerns about it, please let me know. I would be happy. And yes, let me share my contact info in the chat real quick. It is up there in the beginning of the meeting, but I will put it again right now for anyone who needs it.
I have a couple quick questions.
Yes.
As far as you were saying, it was voluntary. What happens if they choose not to address the situation in the voluntary manner? And then also the contract that's reviewed. What is the adherence? Is there an adherence rate to that as far as like outcomes, or what does that look like if they don't adhere to that contract?
Yes, I'll answer both questions. So the first one, if they decide not to participate in community court, their case will simply be sent back to the Alpha Court, and they'll resolve it throughout the typical process there, whether that will be jail time, probation, other sanctions, that will be left up to the Alpha Court. And so again, that's their choice to settle it through the regular court method. Now, if they sign their stipulated order of continuance and there is some issues as far as with them not sticking through it, what will end up happening is then you might see some sanctions. Now, with the COVID situation, we're very limited in what we can do because we understand with the health concerns and everything, and we're not trying to have anyone be in situations where they could get sick or anything. But if you don't stick with the SOC, there could be sanctions there as far as it can be anything from additional community service hours, which we're trying not to do, up to jail, which again, jail's our last resort. We really, really, really don't want to do that. It might be just kind of remind the individual that they have to get to their therapy session or their substance abuse treatment center. So it kind of, as far as the actual rates though, I don't unfortunately have the exact statistics. I think the best way of looking at that would be looking at our graduation rates overall. Because the thing with our participants with the SOC, we understand that this is a day-to-day thing. And we're not really trying to hammer down on people too hard. What we're trying to do is make sure that they're sticking to their plan and getting help. So with that being said, we try not to make our sanctions super, super harsh. We're not going to be, sentencing people to DOC work crews or long jail sentences or anything like that. We're really just trying to get them reconnected with services. And if necessary, we might have to tighten up a little bit. One of the first things that's going to happen if we notice that they're not sticking with their SOC, and this actually kind of brings me back to our bullet points here, is they're going to be put on our weekly staffing meeting. I know there's probably many people out there in the Zoom meeting that actually attend those meetings, as many people throughout the community does. How they are performed right now because of COVID is every Wednesday at 11 a.m. We have these meetings with the community, all of our partners and providers. There is, again, a form signed off on to let know that information is confidential in those meetings. It should not be shared outside those meetings. But this is where individuals who haven't been making their court dates, who've been kind of slipping off a little bit, this is where we're going to kind of take a better look at them and really, really, really focus on them. And oh yes, Barry, you can go ahead and post this. That's not a problem. And so after we work through the program, let's assume that someone has stuck through, they've been compliant. Not everyone is going to be 100% compliant the entire time, and we don't expect that. But we expect at the end of their program that they've been compliant overall. And at this point, they're going to be graduating. Now, the graduation is held. We hold kind of a small little ceremony. Judge Logan explains what they've done, what they've accomplished. He gives them a rock that has a particular word on it that kind of links to what they've done. And we've had many of our former participants come in and say they carry that with them, kind of like almost you carry the sobriety coins, kind of the same thing. This is a reminder of what they've accomplished. And then they get to put their name on one of our graduation boards. Each location has a different one. And then we add them to our list of obviously folks that graduated. And at that point, then they're completing with the program. And I can say that statistically, our individuals are less likely to have recidivism or commit new crimes. There's a 12% reduction in that. So the program definitely is effective. And again, we've actually had our program reviewed by WSU researchers, and they've concluded all this stuff. And I would be happy to share any of this information. Just please let me know. And we could jump forward to the next slide, and we'll kind of get into talking about the community partners and everyone who works with us. Okay. And as I said, community engagement is very, very important. Community court is a community effort. It takes the whole community to make the program work. We can't do it by ourselves, and we are internally grateful to everyone in the community that helps us out. What we do have is we have our policy and procedures manual, which is updated regularly. That's kind of what we use to keep ourselves on track and to kind of show everyone else exactly what we're doing. So I just saw a question in chat. I will answer these questions at the end, but I will make sure we answer that. Just to briefly answer it though, as far as the needs assessment with the remote video court, community court is done in person. If there is an assessment done with a provider who's remotely, the community court participant, while they're in court, is given a Zoom tablet along with a pair of headphones that have a covering over them for health concerns. And then they are given a private area to conduct that needs assessment. However, the needs assessment the community court does, those are actually done in person. We do not have Zoom functionality at community court as far as for court clients to Zoom in, simply because most of our participants unfortunately don't have the means to do that. So that's why we're meeting in person for that. But anyway, so that's what I was mentioning with the policy and procedures manual, again, updated regularly. And I'm happy to share that. Again, it's kind of our guidebook of how we do everything. It lists all the different charges that we'll cover. It explains the members of the community court, what we all individually do. And again, as I mentioned just earlier, we do have the weekly Zoom community-wide staffing meetings. Previously, those would have been done before court. We would have a staffing meeting prior to court. However, with the COVID situation, we are now doing them weekly. We are doing community engagement and outreach. That is one of the duties that I do, and I will apologize that lately with the COVID situation, I haven't been going out as much. However, I will be going out more, so you'll be seeing me around the neighborhood. I'll have some brochures and other information. I'll just be kind of stopping in to talk. And if you see me out there with any of my information, feel free to ask any questions. And we do meet regularly as a team, again, to update our policies, to keep everyone kind of abreast of all the information that we have, and just to continually be flexible and continually update the program. And just, it's kind of, we're always evolving. That's really what we do. Statistics is a huge part of our program. We just like to mention that there because we understand that data really talks and it really can show things. So we do make sure that we have statistics and we have data and proof of what we're doing. And we have several different publications that prove the effectiveness of our program. Now, Barry, we can go ahead and move forward to the next slide. Okay, and these slides, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in here. We just wanted to list a variety of our partners, and this is nowhere near an exhaustive list. This is just, these are just some folks that are kind of our core ones that have been with us for a long time. You see, we do work with the police department directly, all the different court offices, the Center for Court Innovation, Public Library, Lions Club, various medical groups, and even the Downtown Spokane Business Partnership. So again, this is all about focusing on the community, getting everybody in the community involved, making sure everybody has a voice in this, because that's the role of community court in general. It's not just the courts trying to do something, it's us and the community, all of us working together for, the greater good. And we can jump forward to the next slide. Again, it's just going to list, I'll wait till we jump forward here.
I need to go back.
There we go. Oh, no, yeah, we gotta jump back. Barry, can we actually, perfect, there we go. So again, these are just, again, a list of general services. You'll notice that a variety of these services are also what's covered in our CCAT evaluation. This makes sure that, we're not going to tell someone that they need a service that we're not offering. We make sure that if it's on that CCAT, we have a provider that has it, so we can not only tell you this is what you need to do, we can take you there, we can link you up with those individuals. And this is another gap that community court fills, is that even in other programs that might say, hey, we don't want to put this person in jail, we want to give them some kind of treatment, a lot of times the individual's left to their own to find that treatment, to make it to those sessions, just to talk to those people. We don't do that. We make sure that they're taken right there. And we can actually jump forward to the next slide with COVID, because I'm going to lean into this here. So again, with the COVID situation right now, it's very unique. Generally, community court, we're very hands-on. We like to have everybody in the room, everybody there. However, that's just not the case right now with the COVID situation. We understand the health and safety concerns. There's limits imposed not only by the governor, but just in general, we understand we want to keep people safe. So one of the first things we're doing right now is we do have cell phones and tablets available in all of our court sessions, which means that if there's any provider that's working with us who doesn't have in-person service at the moment, we can still connect our participants to them. We'll provide cell phones, we'll provide tablets. As I mentioned, we have headphones available for privacy, and we also make sure there's private areas as well, so that they can stay and do those assessments. And we will, even if the assessment goes after court, I stick around, make sure it's there till the end, so they don't feel pressured to rush through it or anything like that. We want to be as flexible as possible in this time. So we're really working to do everything we can to make it as easy as possible for participants to link up with services, even if it is virtually at the moment. We are currently operating in a bit of a reduced capacity. Now, what that means isn't that we have less court staff overall. It means that at the moment, we don't have as many people from the general public coming in to access services. We're really only trying to focus on folks on our dockets. Normally, community court would be open to the general public, and we would welcome the general public to come down. At the moment, however, we're mostly focusing on individuals with the dockets. In certain situations, we can have people come down that aren't on the dockets, that we know that there's services available for them. And that's happened before during our weekly Zoom meetings, that someone the community has mentioned an individual needs help, and we can have them come down. But unfortunately, until we can open up a little bit more for COVID, just because of capacity concerns, we have to reduce the amount of the general public that can come in. And the last thing is, warrants are currently only being issued in very, very extreme cases for community court. We are not, we're not issuing warrants after one or two failure to appears. It has to be a long-standing pattern. And we're just trying to do that again, just to be understanding of what's going on with everyone. We understand some people are afraid to be coming to areas. They might have health concerns, immunity deficiencies, anything that might make them very concerned about coming to court, and we don't want to punish them for that. So we can jump forward to the next slide. And just this is a general quote from a member of our community. I just wanted to throw it on here kind of wrap up, that I think it really kind of summarizes what we do, that we're reaching people on different levels. And I think what that really holds true is we're not just reaching out to our participants, but we're reaching out to everyone in the community. I mean, we've had folks from the Spokane Business Partnership. We've had individuals in city council that people would think wouldn't support us at all, that have been our primary huge supporters. We've had folks, that have heard about community court initially, and their first thought was, oh man, I don't know if I want this in my neighborhood. And by the time we talk to them, they understand that we're helping, that we're going to make the neighborhood better for everyone. So I think that's one of the biggest things about community court. And I think that's why we call it community court, because it is the community. It's not just the courts, it's everyone. And we do appreciate all of our service providers and everybody in the community for really helping us be able to work together. And we can jump to the last slide, just has some contact information on it. So again, there's my information. We also have a website link there. Feel free to email me any questions or comments. At this point, I'm going to open up to general questions. Feel free to add them in the chat or just answer them. I can answer them. Also, any other member of the court team. So if you have questions for the public defenders, judge, prosecutor, just go ahead and ask them.
Yes, please address those questions in the chat box. Seth, can you talk a little bit about, I know the annual, or is it an annual or quarterly warrant fest that you guys host as well?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So generally it's biannually. It usually will happen in the winter, and it'll happen sometime around the fall, summertime. And what we do at this warrant fest is this is where we're going to have individuals come in that have outstanding warrants, that might be afraid to come to the courthouse for fear of being arrested, or just, general fear of what might happen if they try to get their warrant addressed. They might not even know they have a warrant. They might think they do. And again, they're afraid, well, if I go to the courthouse and ask, they're going to put me in prison. I don't want that to happen. So what we do is we'll meet. It's normally at a Homeless Connect event, so that there's a lot of other providers there and there's folks there in the area. We're going to check for warrants. And generally what we're going to do is we're going to dismiss those warrants, give them a court date to come to. That way they know that they can come to their court date, get their situation resolved without fear of being booked on the warrant. Now, with that being said, there are some limits to what warrants. I mean, obviously, if it's a very, very serious crime, and I don't think I have to go into details about, the difference between a minor crime and a serious crime, but there's obviously certain crimes that we're not going to revoke a warrant for. But in general, especially with the homeless community and, these trespasses, sit in lines, that type of stuff, we're going to be able to revoke those warrants, get them into a future court date so they can resolve their situation without fear of what might happen if they fall through with the warrant.
Great. Thank you so much. I know from personal experience, I want to say thank you to Judge Logan and Dave and yourself, Seth, and Francis and Jennifer. You guys do an awesome job. Before COVID, I was able to attend a majority of them, and going through the docket and basically coming up with a care plan for each. Francis does an awesome job with kind of navigating that and kind of getting other providers involved. But it's definitely a great resource, and I look forward to it as it starts to pick up again, because that was a huge benefit, especially with being able to locate clients and patients, and that's a task in itself. So to have a general location where you guys host that was definitely beneficial. So thank you again, and please address your questions or any comments that you have in the chat box. We'll go ahead and go on to unless anyone else from community court would like to add any comments to what Seth had. I'll leave the virtual stage open for you.
Thank you. I think he did a great job encapsulating what we do, and I think of some comments that I've been hearing over the past months or so. He readdressed with everyone here, which is this is an opt-in court. No one's forced to do this. And it's the referral comes by virtue of contact with police, at least in terms of those that are involved with the criminal justice system. But not everyone that comes to community court when we're in our heyday, when COVID wasn't here, we have just as many people coming to access services because it was so convenient. In fact, it is the basis upon which the Envision Center was developed. Is that, boy, this makes a whole lot of sense. Why do we have people buckshot across the city? So we've been innovators since, well, we started really in December of 2012 and have continued since then with some expansions now to Northeast and now to East Central, to the MLK Center. And I just really want people to be very clear about what the court's expectations are when somebody is referred and they opt in. Yes, community service can be a component of what is expected. And understand, I know that it is viewed as a sanction, but the reality is we are trying to reconnect somebody that has been disenfranchised for a number of reasons, but back to the community in which they live. And a component of that can be that give back with community service. It's really referred to as pro-social activities. If it's not something somebody is physically able to do, or mentally able to do, I come up with alternatives. I've had people draw pictures. We had one participant create a song for us. Those that are capable can write a letter explaining what their experience is. So other alternatives are available, including participating at the Women's Hearth in classwork that's offered there. Or if they can show me some demonstration of any sort of courses they may have taken along the way. It is meant to be flexible, but it is so that someone begins to reconnect with the community in a way that they can regain some ownership of where they live.
Yes, definitely. And Judge Logan, there's a question in there. What do you feel is the biggest understanding about community court's role? You kind of talked about it a little bit, but what do you feel is the biggest understanding about community court's role?
Our role, I think the best thing that we do is we reduce the barriers to access to anything. Access to court, I mean, again, if somebody is charged, instead of them having to cross the river and, go up, try to get here in any way that they can, we try to meet them more where they are at. The library was the first selection for that, for all the obvious reasons about the library, where we miss it dearly. But really, it is reducing the barrier to services, whatever that might be. Access to healthcare or all the rest of the amazing services that are available, housing. And by inviting those same providers who give of their time to come there, it makes sense for them because there are not empty seats across the table in an office building, again, buckshot across the city, to have them all in that room together where they can also within eyeshot of each other. Oh, well, why don't you go over to SNAP, or why don't you go over to Molina, or why don't you go over to DSHS or the Department of Licensing, because we need you to have identification. So just the shortest answer is reduction of barriers to services.
Thank you. Yes, I'd definitely utilize it as a safety net for the community to send clients and patients there because of that access. So thank you. Are there anyone else from community court that would like to say anything before we move on?
There was a question in the chat about what the biggest misunderstanding, and I think it's if I might, certainly Mr. Kling or Ms. Pence can jump in, is that people are force-fed. I mean, I think that's the impression, is that they're force-fed into community court, they're force-fed to do things. And this is it is a voluntary compliance, in that's why we start with a needs assessment, so that we know what gaps there might be in resources that an individual has. But if ultimately they're like, I don't want to do this, we will work with them a little bit longer until it's just blatantly obvious that this is just not the right program for them. They're most likely terminated with credit for time served and close the file, and they're welcome to come back again. They can come back to access services. They may get another citation, and that's okay. We don't bar them from coming back on a second or third or fourth go round, because we also understand it takes some time until somebody may come to the point where they want to do something different with their lives.
Thank you very much, Judge Logan.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having us and allowing us to present.
All right, so we will go ahead and move forward with our next presenter. Jay, are you still with us? I know your time was kind of limited as far as your availability. Are you still with us?
I am, yes.
Perfect. Jay, so for everyone who doesn't know, Jay Kernkamp, I had the pleasure of meeting with him and his team, was it a week ago now?
Yes.
Yeah, a week ago. And Jay, can you kind of briefly describe the regional behavioral health unit teams that are kind of deployed into the region of Spokane? Because it's not only Spokane City, but it's also the Valley, correct?
Correct. We respond to the entire Spokane County and outlying areas to provide co-deployed resources with law enforcement and master level clinicians who are employed by Frontier Behavioral Health to offer resources and divert those in crisis away from jail or the emergency rooms.
Yeah, and I remember mentioning it was kind of a smaller percentage of situations or clients that you were coming across that were experiencing homelessness. But of that percentage of clients who are experiencing homelessness, what's kind of a common call, and do you know kind of how your team works to resolve that on basically at that situation in particular?
Yeah, so I mean, we've all faced challenges like the slide shows in the last 9 months, working on a year, and getting rid of the telehealth or trying to, expand from those barriers and overcome them and give people the services and resources. One of the experiences that we've had, especially with our pod groups and the others, is the recidivism and just moving from one to the next, and the week later there's really no solution. So we have started to utilize our co-deployed teams to outreach to the homelessness, and trying to offer resources and trying to not just put a band-aid on it, but to try to hopefully maybe figure out some solutions on how we can better serve and help individuals.
And how are referrals usually generated?
Oh, we take them from all sorts of different ways. We do have a email that goes directly to our unit. And then we also case screen patrol reports from the Spokane City Police, Spokane Valley Police, and the Sheriff's Office. And then and those are based off our officer and deputy referrals, based upon if they came into contact with somebody that throughout the night or during our off hours, or if we were tied up, or even just an informational report, and we'll outreach to them. And then we also work with a lot of working directly with 911 and our radio dispatchers. If they're not able to respond to a call based upon call volume or emergency level, or hey, this person might need services, but right now we don't know exactly what it is. Those go into a queue from us, and we're able to screen those. And that helps us identify, especially a lot of those people that are in need that might not be receiving the services that they need. And so we're able to follow up with them on a regular basis and offer them some services. In addition to that, we also work very, very closely with the DCRs from Frontier and other resources to try to create a smooth transition for apprehensions and evaluations.
Yeah. And I know that sometimes situations that call for a DCR referral, what's kind of the access and availability that your team has versus kind of maybe a different community resource? Do you guys have more of a quicker response by DCR, or is it just still kind of on their end?
So we have morning meetings on a regular basis to where we're able to schedule throughout the day in apprehension and evaluation. So my teams work directly with the DCRs and being able to schedule those. And it creates, it avoids the DCRs waiting for hours and hours and hours for patrol officers to respond. Two, it gives a better response, I think, to the community, because it's not exposing those that may be in crisis or needing evaluated to be left out for hours and hours and hours. Sometimes if call loads are prohibited, it's not uncommon on a regular basis prior to our unit that we were not able to respond. We've since taken that on and been able to respond all the time and work out sometimes a non-traditional approach, especially for those that are extremely paranoid or want to avoid the police contact or being apprehended by DCRs.
Yeah, and what, for those of us, or for those who don't know what DCR is or what it stands for, can you explain their role in your partnership with them?
So our code of play teams are not DCRs. I think that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions. One of the things that our teams do is we respond to active calls in crisis. In addition to taking referrals and follow-ups. So something unique about Spokane's program, in which I think we're probably pretty cutting edge based upon the networking that I do throughout the nation, but we respond to immediate, in progress people in crisis, and are able to, one, not only witness what is going on, but we're able to offer resources right then and there. And that is, one, it helps the call load for patrol. Two, it helps the individual and the community, but also the family members and the neighbors and everybody else dealing with that. It's all around just a better service rather than waiting 24, 36, 48 hours. With the DCRs, we do work directly with on a daily basis of scheduling that, and we have a great relationship with them. And they're able to, call us on a whim and say, hey, I would like to go schedule and try to, pick up this person. I'm hearing this, this, and this. And we're able to correlate it to, funny you should say that, because recently we had, 3 911 calls from that same location last night. And this is what we're saying. So, based upon the information that we're getting, we're able to connect the dots and all around just provide a better service to where we're not wasting taxpayer dollars and sending 3 patrol officers out 4 times a night and sending the DCRs out 3 times a night to knock on a door and no one's even at the right address. So all around, it's been a huge success, coordinating our efforts, providing services, trying to strategize what's a safer game plan and what's best for clients on both sides of the fence.
And there's a question is what DCR is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I probably skipped over that and started talking, but designated crisis responder. It's the former MHPs that you referred that were I think 2017 is when they changed.
And what is their capability as far as when there's a referral needed? Is it something that where clients or people in the community may be either a danger to themselves or others?
Right. So under the RCW 7105, there's only really 2 people that can legally detain those unable to care for themselves, danger to themselves or others, and that's law enforcement and then the DCRs. So we coordinate very, very closely with them and trying to work out a safe strategy.
And is a DCR, is that like a 911 call if you're wanting to make a referral? I know they have their own phone line, which if someone is.
Yeah, it's the regional crisis line.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't call 911 if you want a DCR. Yeah, wrong agency. Yes. Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. And then what would you say is Frontier Behavioral Health's role with you guys?
Well, they are we are grant funded under WASPIC, Washington State Association of Police and Sheriffs, and then part of their role is they're employed by. I have 1 deputy that works for Spokane County. I have 1 Valley police officer and 2 Spokane Police Department officers, and then I have 4 clinicians from Frontier Behavioral Health.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And if I know that you and your team were kind of interested in knowing kind of what the resources were and everything like that to better assist patients when you do come to these calls. Is it okay for the coalition to have your contact information if they want to reach out to you and just kind of talk to you about how they think they can help assist your team?
Absolutely. Yeah, my email's in the chat, so just reach out and let me know. I'd love to better build relationships with all those community partners.
Perfect. Thank you, Jay, so much for your time.
Thank you.
And your service in the community. It's very much appreciated. So we have gone over about 7 minutes. At this time, Barry stays on typically to, if any of you wanted to make any announcements as far as changes or upcoming events or community resources, now would be the time to do that. So I'll leave it to Barry to take over it from this point. But with that kind of concludes our educational portion of the meeting. So again, thank you all of you who were able to attend today. Your attendance is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much to our presenters as well for taking the time out of your day to help educate all these community members who attend. But with that, Barry, I'll let you take it over from here to continue on conversation.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Thank you, our presenters. Thank you all that are here. At the beginning, when I got on at 9 o'clock, Julie Garcia had an announcement. There were only about 10 people there at that point. So Julie, do you want to throw your announcement out now?
Hi. I was just making this announcement it's really a bigger problem than I can address all by myself. So I'm hoping to get some input from all of you. But we have a camp in Meade that's about to be evicted. It's the 18th is the last day that they can stay on the property. The property is sold. It is a legal eviction, but it is 45 new people into our homeless service system, people who have never accessed resources or entered our shelter system. We know that there's not a lot of beds available right now, but I literally have 45 people with nowhere to go. So if anybody has any ideas how we can handle this, we've already have given their referrals to SNAP and Frontier for housing, but that won't address their immediate need come the 18th. So if anybody has any ideas, feel free to reach out to me and see what we can do and where we can move folks.
And Julie, can you put your info in the chat? So
I sure can.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Julie. Who else? Who else has something to say?
Hi, this is Debbie from the city of Spokane. I'll just add to that last night there were 143 shelter beds available. So so there should be shelter beds available for those folks until they can get housing.
These are these are people who require low barrier beds. They will not meet the requirements of UGM, and they're not families. These are single adults.
Okay.
Do we have those, Debbie?
Well, Truth Ministries has a lot of beds, so they're all individuals.
Every single one of them is adult single individuals. There's 5 couples. The remainder are single men.
Okay. So
or women.
So yeah, so last night Truth had 50 beds available. And yeah, UGM has beds, but if they won't meet those requirements, yeah, so just saying.
Okay, thank you. And I know, because I go to other meetings, I know the city is working on trying to get a live sort of dashboard that is more public, so folks will know where are their beds and where they're not beds. That's not operational yet, but I know the city's working towards that, so that would be a real help when and if we get there.
Yes.
Anybody else? Announcements, questions, comments?
One question, is the fee still waived for Truth Ministries?
The last I heard it was, yes.
Okay, you shy folks.
Barry, I actually have an announcement. This is
Good.
Rosemary Ware, and I'm with the Ware Law Office, and we run the Disability Assistance Project. We used to go down to House of Charity every Thursday morning, Women's Hearth every Thursday afternoon, and then we were also regulars at Community Court there since it started. And we'd provide in-person services to folks who were having questions on a Social Security disability claim, needed to file appeals, needed to check on status, all things concerning Social Security, if they're on it and have overpayments, get terminated, anything like that. So due to COVID, we kind of have been in a kind of a little bit of a shutdown mode, but we are starting to get back up and running with that. And Seth, I'm not sure if you're still on, but I'm going to be emailing you because I think, oh, I do see you there. Yeah, I think that we could definitely potentially maybe try to operate some Zoom services during community court hours. And then also additionally, we've added basically like a virtual outreach time to Thursday afternoons. So one of the big barriers we see is if we have folks call in and we're not ready immediately to help them, we have to schedule them for an appointment a few days out or a week out. And then it's difficult for a lot of folks to remember that or be available at that time. So what we've done is every Thursday from 1 to 3, we're just committing to be open and available and answering phones and able to provide that same day kind of rapid services to individuals. Everything will be over the phone, but we can still conference call into Social Security, figure out what's going with claims, things of that nature. So our hope is that, it'll be easier for folks to access those services. There may still be a little bit of a wait, just like if we were doing in-person services and there was someone in front of you in line, it might be a little wait, but our hope is now we can say, okay, we'll call you back in 5 to 10 minutes, or give us a call back in 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll be able to help you with that issue instead of saying, let's schedule you out for next week when who knows what's going to happen in that meantime. So we are trying that. That's going to be every Thursday from 1 to 3. Folks can just call our number, and I'll put my contact info in the chat if anyone has any questions. Seeing how that goes, we are potential to trying to, expand back and open up those morning hours that we were normally down at House of Charity every Thursday. But for right now, we're just starting with Thursday afternoons from 1 to 3. And then depending on how need goes there, we're willing to kind of expand that. So thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. I saw Francis kind of go berserkly happy when you.
I am so excited, Rosemary. Thank you so very much.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, we've fielded a lot of questions about your services all through this week. Thank you. This community holds you a debt of gratitude for what you do. And for someone that is a well-paid attorney to resign from a well-paid job to do this job, it shows how much you care and the heart you have for the community. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis.
We love you, Rosemary. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, who else has an announcement, a question, anything for the good of our order? I know you all do.
Hello, everybody. My name is Abdullah, and I am with Northwest Fair Housing Alliance. My coworker Glenda and I are here, and we have a task that we need to provide printed fair housing brochures to those who provide rental assistance and who work with tenants and renters. And we were wondering if there was a way that we could communicate with you all and see if that would be something that you can help us, that we can have this information go out to the tenants and renters. Not sure how we could get in touch with all of you or individually like that. So I'm just putting this out in there to see if there's anybody in there that can help us to have this information go out, so we can start communicate and see how we can provide the information.
Okay. Are you on our Google listserv email?
Yeah, I guess we just recently were added into that.
Because that would be a way you can use that to send out an email to over 1,100 individuals who are part of this coalition. So that'll help a lot of folks.
That is great. Then we will go from there and continue from there.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Thank you very much.
Okay, who's next? There's only 62 incredibly involved people here. Somebody's got something.
how can we, or who do we contact to make sure that we get the link for these meetings?
Are you on our Google listserv? Do you get our emails?
I not personally, no.
Okay, that's probably the best way. So Teresa, I would suggest put that request in the chat, like say, hey Barry, please add me, and put your email address in there. And I'm the one that adds people to the listserv. And there's, I don't know, depends on the day. Some days 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 different emails float back and forth to all of us about things that are going on. And one of the things are the announcements for these meetings that go out to everybody periodically. Okay, I see you're in there. I will get it to Rayanna, and whoever else puts it in there, I can add you to the Google listserv.
Oops.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Matt. I am with Northwest Harvest. I was the volunteer coordinator here for 1.5 years, and I just moved into the Hunger Response Network Specialist role, which was Connie Spitz's role before me. And Connie did a really, really good job, and I think she's still going to be at these meetings. But just wanted to say hi and would love to connect with anyone if they had any questions or needed any info about Northwest Harvest. Thank you.
Matt, tell us, how are people being fed right now? What is Northwest Harvest doing to get people fed? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so as we all know, the need's going up for food and has been and is projected to keep going up. For a long time during COVID, what we were doing was making meal kit boxes where we were putting in protein, fruit, grains, vegetables, all into one box. So that what could happen was instead of a lot of touches from people, it just leads to people being able to go and pick up one box and go, and even being able to just drive up and have those boxes being put into trunks. Those meal kit boxes are actually going to be ending soon. So we're finished with that program. And we do this big food drive with KHQ and Safeway every year. And that's going to look a little bit different this year, which I'm excited about. Instead of getting food donated from Safeway, we're going to be getting a lot of gift cards donated. And so we're going to be able to distribute those, and people who access those food banks are going to get those Safeway gift cards and be able to purchase whatever they need with those. We're really excited about that change. So those are kind of a couple of things that are happening here coming up.
Good, thank you very much. Who else? I think all of you got something good like that you can share with us, what you're doing, how we connect. Well, I just like looking at you, the ones of you that are showing your face, I enjoy that. Sherry, you look like you're going to unmute.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I was, Sherry. You were moving towards your screen. Tell us about you. What do you do?
Well, I'm Sherry, and I was co-founder and coordinator of Spokane Area Tenants United, which is a tenant-to-tenant mutual-based tenant-based mutual fund organization. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we've pretty much disappeared. We were not able to mass purchase our items because everything got put on hold back in March. We haven't been able to collect money to get more items. So it's pretty much gone the wayside. However, I live out in the Valley, and we have started Spokane Valley Community Advocates, and we're hoping to become a hub for resources out here east of Spokane, just a central organization that can then connect with the other groups. I'm more of a hands-on person. I'm in a lot of housing committees, but I'd rather be doing the one-on-one than doing policy change. So that's our focus, is to get our hands dirty out in the world.
Okay, and especially getting dirty in the valley. Sherry, I know there are people on this call right now who are interested in the valley and aren't quite sure how to connect and get organized. If you would put your info in there or anybody else's about what you're trying to do to get going in the valley. I know there are people who want to connect and resource in the valley. So if you're willing to put something in there, you can at least be a start for people to connect with that. Thank you.
I will do that, yeah.
Hey, Barry,
Thank
I'd
you.
love to make a quick announcement too.
Sure, go Johnny.
Hey, nice to be with you all. Lots of good info today. I mentioned in the chat some interest in working on a tiny home community. If anyone has interest or experience with that, I'd love to look into serving our homeless population in that way. But I'm also working on expanding the Little Free Pantry network in Spokane. And I'm working a lot with Northwest Harvest on that and some conversations with other partners. But if any of you have interest in hosting a pantry, this is a very low barrier access to food year round, no matter what weather or when food banks are open or not. We'd love to help place those all over town. And we have a few builders and we have some pantries that are already ready to go. We just need a site for it. So if you have any suggestions for good sites, reach out.
Okay, are the free pantries similar concept like the little library things?
Yeah, very similar. So it's basically a box on a stick.
Yeah.
And there would be someone who takes responsibility for making sure it stays stocked, which sometimes is a food bank, sometimes it's an individual or a church or anyone really who's willing to do that. But the hope is that neighbors will stock it and also take from it. So it becomes a community effort.
Okay. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Angela Chapman, can you tell us who you are and what you do? I know you've got some good information.
I'm Angela Chapman. I'm with Transitions. I'm on a COC board for lived experience, and I work with homeless people experiencing homelessness, women and children over at the Transitional Living Center, and I also work down in administration. And right now, we have the Women's Hearth for our drop-in center right now that is just continues to do amazing everyday transformation dealing with COVID. So if you have any questions or anything, you can just shoot me an email. I'll share it in the chat.
Okay. The campus at Transitions, weren't you doing something with tiny homes, something like that a year or two ago?
We have the cottages, which we partner with Spokane Housing Authority, and we have, I think there's, I don't want to give you the wrong number, but I think there's 16 little cottages there, ranging from studios to 3-bedroom units, where we house families.
Yeah.
So with permanent supportive housing. And we have support advocates on staff there, and Spokane Housing Authority does the rental part of it. So.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Yeah, put your info in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, if nobody's going to speak up, I'm going to ask Amber Hugh, H-U-W-E, tell us who you are and what you do, because I'm sure it's going to be interesting to somebody.
Hi there. I'm a Providence social worker. I work at the Spokane Teaching Health Clinic, and I come to this to get great resources and updates about what's happening in the community. So when I have a patient in need, I have a better hold on where to get them connected.
Okay. Can you talk about the homeless or the teaching health clinic and who it serves? I know it is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, the teaching health clinic is all the learning residents are there providing clinic hours when they're not at Sacred Heart, and they provide primary care services to patients in the community. We have a lot of disenfranchised patients, patients that have been discharged from other clinics. And we also have coordinated care behavioral health services there as well, with psychiatric residents in training.
Yeah, good resource, good place. Thank you, Amber.
Did she go on?
Anybody else got anything? Let's see, who have I? Brandy Laskowski, who are you? What do you do?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I work over at Frontier Behavioral Health on their mobile crisis response team. So what we do is we actually work hand in hand with the co-deployed teams. So if they have someone that they feel like their needs not met in their first encounter, they refer it to us. So we're able to provide a little bit more support to these people if all of their needs aren't met in their very first encounter with the BHU teams.
Mm-hmm. Good, excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
Let's see, Bryn Redal. Can we hear from you?
Hi, yeah, I'm a community health navigator, relatively new, started October 1st, working with a company new to Spokane called NED-Z, and we partner with Community Health Plan of Washington, which is the insurance that works with Medicare and Medicaid. So just here getting more resources, and nice to see some of your faces.
And if people wanted to use you as a resource, how would they contact you? Can you put that in the chat?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good, thank you. Diane Ross, can you tell us about you? Oh, maybe Diane Ross isn't there. Patty McNally? No, no. Oh, here comes Patty.
I'm sorry. I was doing something else. Sorry. Was there a question?
Who are you? What do you do? Because I bet you do something that'll be interesting for somebody on this this call.
I work for PCAP, and so we help moms who have addictions while pregnant or soon afterwards. And I was formerly working with the homeless community more directly, but some of our mothers definitely experience homelessness also. So I just like to stay in touch with the community and other providers.
Okay, and if someone on this call knows a pregnant homeless woman or just a pregnant woman who needs some help, what can you provide for them?
We provide case management for 3 years. We have these women in our program for 3 years. And so one of our biggest roles is just helping them to connect with other services in the community that are going to help them get their lives back on track and lead a clean and sober life if possible.
If you are able to, please put your contact info in the chat, because I bet there's somebody out there thinking, oh, I know someone who could use that service.
Okay, I certainly will. Thank you.
Thank you. Barb Brock, what do you do? What are you doing here? Say hello to us. Yeah, maybe Barb's not there or can't get to her unmute button. How about Jamie Lierla?
Hello. I work for the WIC program as a breastfeeding peer counselor, also as a community health worker. We're doing a pilot that is just trying to help give additional resources to WIC participants, about if they're in need of like resources in the community. So homelessness does come up a lot, actually, of course, along with other resource needs. I'm also working with the Spokane Regional Health District Care Coordination Team. So helping people who are having to stay home to quarantine or isolate, get resources to them. So that's me.
You said one thing you do is a pilot program for WIC. Can you say more about that and if how people might access that?
Yeah, so typically WIC participants will go, either go in or do a phone office visit once a month or every couple months. And, they might have needs addressed then, like I'm getting kicked out or, whatever. And so on the spot, our people who work with them, can give them information. But so we're piloting a program where I then follow up, or the person who's addressing their needs at the time will refer them to me to do follow up. So to be a little more hands-on, kind of dig in a little bit, what's going on, and try to narrow down on what resources they need. And I'm new at it, so I'm learning a lot.
Okay. Are you on our Google listserv?
I am, yes.
Good.
I appreciate it too, and I've used it. So
Good.
It's a great resource.
Yeah, good. Abigail Prather, can you tell us about you? And if not, how about Mark K?
Hi, and I maybe can speak on behalf of Abigail a little bit. She's an intern with us over at Lutheran Community Services Northwest. I just popped in. I haven't been on one of these meetings in these meetings with for a while, but I'm a sexual assault and crime victim advocate, and I'm more notably known as Walker, our courthouse facility dog's handler and caregiver.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you have the puppy and you're, yeah, you take the puppy is well known and you're the guy that takes care of it.
Yeah, I'm the guy kind of looks like Jesus is wandering around with them.
Right.
White Jesus.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I love this group. Thank you all for everything you do.
Ditto to you. Christina, I don't know, have I asked you who you are and what you're doing here?
Hi, my name is Christina Boblick. I work with the Spokane County Mental Health Diversion Program. We work with individuals with misdemeanors or low felonies, open cases, and we help them get their charges dismissed after being in our program for about 6 months or longer if they need it. What we do in our program is they're required to check in with me every week. I'm a peer support specialist. And they are required to engage in mental health and or substance use treatment while they're in the duration of our program, and they get to choose what they need, and we're pretty flexible working with them and helping them. We can do community outreach and all sorts of different things. So
okay,
that's sort of.
I would invite you to put your contact info in the chat because I bet there's somebody listening that knows someone like, a diversion program to help clear up those charges.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Any open charges, feel free to give me an email or a call, and we have a referral form I can send you.
Oh, good. Yeah, put your contact info. That comes up a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think I have called on everyone who's still here. Anybody else got anything they want to add or throw in? No? Well, then I think I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you all for being here. And thank you all for participating in this sort of the after program. Because I really, at least for me, the in-person meetings, I loved going up and meeting people and saying, oh, what do you do? Well, that's fascinating what you do. And then watching people connect and resource and network, and it just, I don't know, that just is a really valuable part of what I miss from the in-person, and this is just sort of a Zoom version of that. So thank you. Within a day or two, I assume we will have the video of this up on the Coalition website. The chat, I will also save the chat and post the text of the chat on our Coalition website, so you can find all this stuff. And Angela, you look like you've got something. I can't hear you.
I just have to take off. So I was just going to say goodbye to everybody and see you all later.
Okay,
Good to
thanks,
see you.
Angela.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm done. Anybody else got anything?
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, well, I'm going to shut us down.